It is fight morning, and I'm glad you made it. UFC Vegas 81, where we have a heck of a featherweight matchup at the top of this card. Hell of a matchup between Sodiq Yusuff and Edson-Barboza. We've got 11 fights. Unfortunately, there was a fight scrapped yesterday, a catchweight bout. And 6 out of 11 of these fights are currently favored to end inside the distance. Should be an exciting card. We've got a few fighters making their promotional debut. If you wouldn't mind subscribing to the channel and liking this video, I'd greatly appreciate that. We've been putting out tremendous amount of content, and you joined me on this fight morning where we break down the fights in a quick and orderly fashion and help you get out and enjoy the rest of your Saturday. So let's get things kicked off here, my brothers. And thank you, by the way, for tuning in. Let's start things off with Ashley Yoder against Emily-Ducote. Emily-Ducote is coming in as the minus 380 betting favorite. It's an incredible line considering the stylistic matchup and also past performances of both fighters. Emily-Ducote, go back and watch her fight against Angela Hill. That was disturbing. Came into that fight, was just seemed the timing was off. She looked horrific. Emily-Ducote there. I was at Emily-Ducote's fight against Jessica Penne, where we saw the leg kicks in action. And Ashley Yoder has lost to Angela Hill twice. Ashley Yoder, elder statesman of the division. She's been around the block. She's in her mid-30s. This is probably Ashley Yoder's last fight in the UFC promotion here. Long fighter. I believe Yoder had a win over Miranda Granger. That's her claim to fame. Originally, if you go back and look at fights that she had booked in her career, believe it or not, Yoder was at one point matched up against Yan Xiaonan, but that never came to fruition. Can you imagine that? I would have been at the window for that one. But in this spot, Emily-Ducote, she should come in here and run roughshod on Ashley Yoder. The one thing she has to do is maintain her distance, though. I don't want to see her get caught up in grappling exchanges here. I'd like to see her utilize her leg kicks. I could hear the snap of the leg kicks inside of the UBS arena when she was beating up that lead leg of Jessica Penne, and I see her doing the same thing here against Ashley Yoder. So give me Emily-Ducote there. Next up, where we have Chris Gutierrez taking on Alateng. Alateng is a tough fighter. We know from the Casey Kenny fight, he's going to take some damage. He's going to march forward. I was on Alateng against Chad and Helliger last time out. We know he could stand in the pocket and throw hammers, and he's going to have a Chris Gutierrez who is a Factory X fighter, somebody who's going to stick and move, land leg kicks, stick and move. And against Pedro Munoz, that wasn't a recipe for success. But in this spot, you know, Gutierrez had the full camp here. He was supposed to take on Montel Jackson a couple of weeks ago. I was on Montel Jackson in that fight. But here in this spot, I don't agree with Gutierrez being a massive favorite. This line has closed a little bit. And Alateng, we know, he's coached well. Granted, that performance against Casey Kenny, it was a head scratcher because he just stood there and kept taking spammed body kicks and leg kicks. And Gutierrez, that's his strength here. So I'm going to be picking Gutierrez. And if Alateng is able to have some success, it's probably going to be a one-punch strike that causes Gutierrez some problems, because we've seen Gutierrez in the past get dropped at times. I believe Dana Batgarel was a fighter who had some success against Gutierrez. So give me Gutierrez there, but not a tremendous amount of conviction in that play. Let's see. We've got a bunch of people in the comment section this morning. James, thank you for joining. Top of the morning to you. Thank you for joining from Ireland. Pepe, good morning. Great to see you up. I hope you enjoyed your salad yesterday evening and the time in the sauna. Excellent. I was able to find the teriyaki beef jerky I was on the hunt for. It is, well, hey, football and UFC, friends of Pepe in the house. Yes, KSW. If you like the regional footage, get in there. Let's keep this train rolling, my brothers. So let's talk a wild fighter. Irina Alekseeva. Alekseeva coming in as the plus 124 underdog. She's a jack of all trades. And I'll tell you this, if you want to watch, or Sean Shelby, if you're watching, can you please book Irina Alekseeva against Maria Agapova at some point? I believe that, I know they don't necessarily compete at the same weight class, but we have to get that fight booked. Both of those fighters are maniacs, both inside and outside of the octagon. And you look at Melissa-Dixon, and she's a bit of a wild card also. Solid grappling, looks to close distance, and granted, Melissa-Dixon, this is an issue when you have fighters who have yet to sustain a loss. They have an aura of invincibility, and we'll talk a little bit about that when we talk the Cameron-Saaiman matchup versus Christian Rodriguez in a little while. But here, you have an undefeated fighter, 5-0, Melissa-Dixon, who's a very aggressive fighter, and both of these fighters extremely aggressive, going to come out going for the kill. And Alekseeva upset the apple cart last time out. You saw even at the weigh-ins what a personality she has, and Alekseeva is dangerous. She's a dangerous fighter. She has taken a loss in her professional mixed martial arts career before. I'm actually going to be picking her as the underdog here. I think that she has the ability to draw some mistakes out of Dixon and put Dixon in a spot where she's not necessarily comfortable in. And that is just by way of being a Tasmanian devil out there. Alekseeva, I believe that this fight, if you look at the way Alekseeva fights and Dixon both, this leads me to believe that there's the potential for this fight to end inside the distance. You look at that line, and it's currently lined fight goes the distance at minus 120. So I think that may be a solid play. But again, with low-level women's mixed martial arts, you have the volatility at play. So you're getting close to a plus number there. Now, you want to talk about fights that may not go the distance. You look at New Hampshire's Brendan Marotte, who's coming in as the plus 410 underdog. The New England cartel fighters, they have a habit of sending in folks into these fighters against killers. And I keep seeing these New England cartel fighters taking short notice replacement bouts against fighters who have the potential to finish. Look at this line. I believe it's minus 1100. Fight doesn't go the distance. McKinney-Marotte. Terrence McKinney, this is his fourth fight of 2023. He's lost a couple of fights here. He's been finished a couple of times, but this kid's gotten back on track. We know he's talented. He's got solid grappling, and he's a one-round fighter. By the way, my heart goes out to Daniel Lacerda, who was pulled from the card. Man, another one-round fighter. But McKinney here has the grappling chops to cause Marotte some problems here. I expect him to get the hooks in and possibly find a choke here. Now, do you want to bank on a TKO victory or a submission victory for McKinney? Pick your poison. And we know McKinney, his striking defense is almost non-existent at times. He's one of the most aggressive fighters on the roster. I think that's why he's getting all these fights. But give me McKinney to win inside the distance here, and Marotte should earn himself another UFC fight after this performance. Let's see, Flea, morning to you. Thank you for shooting in. By the way, excellent work as the bassist of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I'm very fond of your work. Thank you for your commitment to excellence. Now, we've got another promotional debut here. We have Ravina Oliveira taking on Tainara Lisboa. Tainara Lisboa coming in as the minus 325 betting favorite. One thing that sticks out when you watch the tape on Oliveira is she goes for the kill. She does go for the kill, but look at who she's fighting against. You watch the tape and the I believe prior to Oliveira's latest victory that she had to earn her way onto the UFC card. She beat an 88-5 fighter, and prior to that, she fought someone in her whole mixed martial arts career, someone who only had one victory. That's incredible. That's incredible. But then you look at the other side of the fight, and Lisboa, she's a finisher. She's someone who goes out for the kill, very aggressive fighter. And Lisboa, she also is fighting marginal competition on the regional scene. I wonder where do they find these fighters? Sometimes it really it's a head scratcher here. I believe that this card could have been filled with other talented fighters, but here we are. Lisboa, she does possess some talent here, and she is a significant favorite. You look at fight doesn't go the distance, sitting at -175. So the bookmakers tell us that this fight should end inside the distance, and the aggressiveness on both sides of the fight are what lead me to agree with the bookmakers on this one. I'll be picking Lisboa to win, but again, low-level women's mixed martial arts, there is the potential for the underdog to shock a lot of folks here. So, interesting spot. No action for me on that fight. Now, let's talk about a fight that is going to put fannies in the seats. Blood will likely be splattered across the UFC's octagon during Darren Elkins versus TJ Brown. TJ Brown, this line has closed, coming in as the -180 betting favorite, and he's taking on Elkins, who I've mentioned this earlier. Darren Elkins made it clear to John Anik. John Anik shared this on the broadcast that he's looking to retire before his 40th birthday. Darren Elkins, now 39 years of age, coming off of an MCL tear, a broken fibula, getting front kicked in the face 3 consecutive times by Jonathan Pierce, who's not necessarily known as a kicker or a striker for that matter. And Elkins has been a sitting duck for a long, long, long time. He's tough as nails. Yes, he's going to try to stay in fights. He fights like the equilibrium is off throughout the entirety of all of his bouts over the past few years. I believe that may be due to the damage that he's sustained. I mean, his namesake is the damage. So, and then he's taking on TJ Brown. TJ Brown is a fighter who has given up on himself many times. I mean, you look at what he shared in the previous interviews in the lead up to this fight, and he said that he didn't necessarily train a full camp and train 3 out of the 8 or 9 weeks that he had for the fight versus Bill Algeo. He said that he's been, I believe, over 100 days sober in the lead up to this matchup. And this is a volatile matchup. I typically like to target fighters who are cerebral fighters who have either a volume edge, a cardio edge, a killer instinct edge. And TJ Brown covers a couple of those boxes, but I also tend to fade fighters who are at the end of their road. And Elkins, I mean, look at the scar tissue that he has in the lead up to this fight. You look at the media day check-ins, the fighter check-ins. He's sporting some additional scar tissue, and man, I don't see this fight going the distance. I think that Brown is going to be having some sustained success early on the feet. I didn't like what I heard from TJ Brown in the interview, saying that he's going to look to take Elkins down and try to lock in he wants to lock in a submission here. And Elkins has been only submitted once in his professional mixed martial arts career. I don't think you want to tangle with him on the mat. It's going to be hard to avoid that in the smaller octagon, but I'm going to be picking TJ Brown to get this done and get this done inside the distance. I think that Elkins, the end of the road was a while ago, and he's still ticking. He's still going for it here. Elkins could come out here and take advantage of mistakes by TJ Brown, and that's really what it could potentially come down to. So give me TJ Brown to win this fight inside the distance. Dangerous, dangerous spot. And Elkins, too much damage. Yes, correct. I like that TJ Brown sober. However, true great athletes are able to party and still perform like the great John Jones. Excellent point. Excellent point. We have seen fighters. I mean, even Brian Kelleher, for instance, when he took on Hunter Azur, I go back to that fight. That was in the middle of COVID. There were a lot of folks weren't able to come together and train as a group, and Kelleher went out there and was able to land the kill shot on Hunter Azur in that spot. Happy fight day. Good to see you. Welcome aboard. So the pick's going to be TJ Brown inside the distance. Now, let's stick with this here. Let's keep this rolling. Christian Rodriguez taking on Cameron-Saaiman. We saw Christian Rodriguez come in well overweight, half a division above where he should be in one of the lightest weight classes, and he has a grappling edge in this spot against Cameron-Saaiman. Cameron-Saaiman, the aura of invincibility is still there, undefeated fighter, great volume, frenetic pace. Christian Rodriguez fights very composed, almost to a detriment though, because as we saw in the Raul Rosas Jr. fight, he didn't expect Rosas to come out so aggressive, and he was put against the back side of the octagon. He had to defend some serious chokes. The physicality of Rosas was a real problem there, and we've seen in other fights too. Rodriguez against Jonathan Pierce kind of gets run through for the first few seconds, first few minutes of fights, but he's able to reverse position. A lot of people may not know this, but Rodriguez out of Rufus Sport is a very, very intelligent striker, and he's a solid striking fighter. But he also has grappling to speak of as well, and you've seen in many of his fights. Dominic Cruz, who's one of the best commentators for the UFC, I enjoy watching and listening to his critiques and what he shares, and he spoke very highly of Rodriguez's guillotine, and man, I believe that he's going to use that to gain an advantageous position here against Cameron-Saaiman and pull off a victory. So I'm picking Christian Rodriguez to get the victory here, but Saaiman, very talented fighter. We know Dricus du Plessis. These fighters are running high, and confidence is a big part of having success, both inside and outside of the octagon. Even as a handicapper, if you are losing card after card after card, to get in front of the mic and the video screen can be tough for folks. And same for these fighters too. If you're performing at your best, it gives you an extra pep in your step if you're able to dig a little bit deeper. And Rodriguez, coming off of that victory on a pay-per-view card, he's going to have a lot of folks critiquing him tonight after missing for, I believe, the third time. He missed on Contenders. He missed against Rosas Jr., and now he misses here against Cameron-Saaiman as far as the weight goes. But the pick is going to be Christian Rodriguez to win this fight. I think that the grappling is going to be what separates these fighters here. And also that weight advantage has to be mentioned. The thing is, though, could there be something going on behind the scenes? And also the gas tank, could that be an issue too? Possibly. And Cameron-Saaiman can pour it on, but give me Christian Rodriguez in in that fight. Next up, we've got Andre Petroski taking on Michel Pereira. Pereira minus 205 betting favorite. This line's blown out. Pereira, we've seen many variations of Pereira. He's a solid grappler. He can strike, very unpredictable, massive for 170 pounds. And now he looks like he's the bigger fighter here. He looked huge taking on Petroski, who's taken this fight on short notice, grappler who is robotic in nature, throws one punch at a time when he does throw, and he's got to manage that gas tank. What is his plan here, Petroski? He's going to have to sell out and go for the submission, or else Pereira's going to pour it on him. I don't trust Petroski here, but think that if you got in on Pereira at an early number, that is the way to go. And we saw the Stephen Wonderboy Thompson fight, Pereira's a fighter who came in. He's a weight bully himself, man. The Tristan Connolly fight, there have been others. The guy is huge. So give me Pereira in that matchup. Although I don't necessarily recommend playing him at minus 200 or higher. And I don't think if Petroski is going to get it done, I would play him by submission. That would be the way to go. I don't think he's going to last all 3 rounds here. Next up, this is an excellent bout where we have Jonathan Martinez taking on Adrian-Yanez. Yanez minus 110 at the betting window. I played Yanez at minus 105 here. And Martinez, yes, the more well-rounded fighter, the fighter who can have sustained success at kicking range, who comes from a great camp. Factory X also has another fighter, Chris Gutierrez, competing on this card. And we saw Alexander Hernandez come up short last week as well. So they're putting out a lot of talent who competes inside the octagon. And Martinez, we know, I've shared this many, many times over the past week, that if Yanez is going to have success, he needs to crowd the kicker here. He's got to crowd Jonathan Martinez. He has to find a way inside. Otherwise, he's going to get picked apart at range through the kicks of Jonathan Martinez. And he's also got to watch out for that knee, that well-timed knee of Jonathan Martinez. That's one of Martinez's favorite techniques. But I'm going to be rolling with Yanez, even though he is giving up a little bit of size here. Inside the pocket, when push comes to shove, Yanez can have some sustained success. And we've seen against Davy Grant. We've saw against Alejandro Perez. Turbo Perez was able to really put Martinez on the defensive and get him shook. Martinez has been shook in many fights when it comes to striking on the feet using his hands. Even Cub Swanson, I know Martinez won that fight, but go back and watch it. Swanson was beating him to the punch a few times here. And if Yanez is landing on you in those exchanges, he's causing you fits. Now, Yanez has trouble at range. We know the Costa fight, that was a horrible look for him getting, man, it was like there were magnetic strips on Yanez targeting, getting that Randy Costa jab to hit his face all the fight long. But Yanez was able to turn the tide there, and I suspect that Yanez, this is going to be a great fight. I can't wait for this fight. And I think at minus 105 or plus number on Yanez, you made the right call. But that's why they book these fights too, right? You have to watch these fights actually play out. So Yanez is going to be the pick, and I think that's going to be an amazing, amazing fight. You think the leg kicks will not work against Adrian? I agree, and that's one of the reasons I played Yanez. But hey, if he can't get that going, if Yanez can't close that distance, then this could be a long night for Adrian Yanez, who doesn't wear damage particularly well, and he's the smaller fighter here. So, but give me Yanez to win. I am a glass half full type of guy, but I also am realistic. Let's talk Jennifer Maia against Viviane Araujo. Araujo coming in as the plus 130 betting underdog, and Jennifer Maia minus 155 at the betting window. Maia, she is a jack of all trades. She's got solid cardio. We've seen against Valentina Shevchenko and others. This is a fight where the cardio edge definitely goes to Maia. This fight is expected to go to a decision at minus 400. And you look at both of these fighters are very similar in age. There's only a year separating them. And I was very high on Araujo when she came on to the scene, when she beat Alexa Davis. And I believe she started her career at 135 pounds, took a fight on short notice. Araujo, very talented fighter. I believe she had a soccer background before getting into mixed martial arts. She has the more crisp striking here. She has solid wrestling, Araujo. I believe this fight should be more closely lined than it currently is. I suspect that Araujo is going to come out here and win this first round. And do not have enough conviction to go to the betting window and back Jennifer Maia. I don't believe that she is the runaway favorite here. I think that this is going to be a split decision. I think this fight is likely to end via split decision. Maia, she doesn't do anything great, and she doesn't have a spot in this fight where she particularly shines. She just doesn't go away, and she is active. I will say that she's a very active fighter. I'm glad we're back to stream. The video's back. Next up, we have main event of the evening where we have Sodiq Yusuff taking on Edson-Barboza. Sodiq Yusuff coming as the minus 166 betting favorite, and Edson-Barboza sitting at plus 140. Edson-Barboza, 37 years old, getting up there. He is nearing the end of his road. He looked very sucked out on the scales. Sodiq Yusuff, 30 years of age here, has a significant layoff coming off of back surgery, spinal surgery, which is a cause for concern, definitely. But you also watch back the 2 losses for Sodiq Yusuff, and he had his moments in many of these fights. He's got to stay aggressive here. He cannot. Edson-Barboza feeds off of the timidness of other fighters, and also he feeds off of fighters just marching forward as well. The Billy Quarantillo fight, Billy was having his moments there, got caught by a knee right up the middle. In this particular spot, I think that Yusuff is going to have to come out and be aggressive. He can't sit back. He's got to realize that Barboza is going to have that knee waiting for him right up the middle again, as he has done in previous fights. But the longer this fight goes, as long as Yusuff doesn't get his lights turned out, he should pull away here and win this fight. And also, I don't expect this fight to go to a decision. Barboza makes his hay with his kicking game. Yusuff can also throw heavy leg kicks. Yusuff has the grappling edge here, and he can strike. The only real cause for concern for me is Yusuff's striking defense. He doesn't seem to move his head that well, and also he seems like his pace, he gets stuck in a gear where he doesn't change pace that often, and his opponents can read off of that. And even though Barboza's 37 years of age, that fast twitch muscle fiber is going to be his path to victory here, Edson-Barboza. But I'm going to be picking Sodiq Yusuff. I played him at minus 160, minus 165. I also have a unit on fight doesn't go the distance at minus 250. I don't believe that this one's going to hit the scorecards. Something has to give with these two fighters coming out with the power that they possess and the gas tank issues for Barboza. We've seen him rise like a phoenix many, many times before. He's been beaten to a bloody pulp by Kevin Lee, so many other fighters, Khabib Nurmagomedov. You've seen Barboza in a heap in the corner of the octagon, bludgeoned many times. And this is a 5-round fight. Sodiq Yusuff's going to be the pick here. I know Barboza's live early, but I'm going to be picking Sodiq Yusuff to win and walk away victorious. If you wouldn't mind subscribing to the channel, that would be a big help for us. Also, liking the video would be help. I'm putting out a tremendous amount of content on a weekly basis here as I recover from this horrific ankle injury, and taking it one fight at a time, one day at a time. Remember to go get what's yours, and let's do this. Go out there and enjoy the rest of your Saturday. And thanks again, folks, for the support as we continue this journey, one fight card at a time. We're banging this out in under 30 minutes, 11 fights. Take care, my brothers. Have a great day. You got this.